Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. There was a time when I thought I had to know exactly what to ask Allah for. So I would make dua with carefully chosen words asking for what I thought I needed. But something changed when I began speaking to Allah without trying to make my words sound like a dua. I began telling Him what was actually happening inside me, the things I couldn't explain to people, the thoughts I didn't know how to organize, the disappointments I was carrying quietly, even the things I felt embarrassed to admit. And somewhere in those conversations, I discovered something I hadn't understood before. Munajat is not only about asking Allah for something, it is about allowing your heart to turn completely towards Him. Allah already knows what is hidden within us. The Qur'an says, "We have created man and we know what his soul whispers to him, and we are closer to him than his jugular vein," as mentioned in Surah Qaf, ayah number 16. So when I spoke to Allah, I wasn't informing Him of anything He didn't know. I was learning to become conscious of the one who already knew, and that changed my relationship with Him. My duas became less transactional. I wasn't approaching Allah only when something had gone wrong or when I desperately wanted an answer. I began speaking to Him in ordinary moments too. I would tell Him what I was grateful for. I would admit when I was confused. I would ask Him to correct what was wrong within me. Sometimes I had very little to say at all, and I realized that silence before Allah can also be a form of vulnerability. There is a psychological reason this feels so relieving. When we put an experience into words, we begin to process it rather than merely carry it. But Munajat has another dimension. You are not simply verbalizing your thoughts, you are placing them before the one who created the heart that is struggling with them. The Quran gives us perhaps one of the most beautiful description of this relationship, as mentioned in Surah Baqarah, ayah number 186. Indeed, I am near. I respond to the call of the supplicant when he calls upon me. Notice the intimacy of that verse. Allah does not merely say that He hears, He says, "I am near." And I think that is what changed for me. Munajat made my bond with Allah stronger, not because Allah became nearer to me, but because I became more aware of His nearness. I began to understand that I didn't need a perfect sentence before turning to Him. I would come with a tired heart, with uncertainty, gratitude, regret, with my own questions, and sometimes with nothing except, "Ya Allah, you know." There is a particular freedom in speaking to Allah when you no longer feel the need to explain yourself perfectly. People may misunderstand what you mean. You may not even understand yourself completely, but Allah knows the beginning of a thought before it becomes a sentence. He knows the intention behind the words. He knows the pain behind the silence. And perhaps that is the secret intimacy of Munajat. You are speaking to the one who knows you completely, yet still invites you to speak. So if your relationship with Allah has begun to feel distant, perhaps don't begin by searching for more words. Sit with Him, speak honestly, tell Him what is in your heart, not because He needs the information, because your heart needs the turning. And over time, you may discover what I discovered. Sometimes the greatest change in dua is not that you begin receiving everything you ask for. It is that you begin knowing whom you are speaking to. And when that happens, dua is no longer merely something you do. It becomes a relationship, a private return, a quiet conversation between a servant and his Lord. That is Munajat.